Ugh, I hate how this piece of hair always sticks up and it makes me look like alfalfa. Ugh. Hey, what's up, Spencer? My name is everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So a few months ago, I made a video about the very first Troll movie, which was an experience. And when I made that video, I said that although this wasn't like the best movie I had ever seen, I was definitely interested in seeing more, because my friend had told me about some wild-ass lore that comes later on down the road that I definitely needed to check out. And so that's what I did, and not that long ago, I watched the second Trolls movie, and oh my god, am I glad that I did, because the stuff that happened in this movie is 1,000 times more out there than what happened in the first one. As impossible as that sounds. Like, I'm pretty sure that the writers for this movie were on meth and mushrooms and acid when they were coming up with this script, because there is no other explanation for some of the shit that happens in this 90 minutes. But I do have to give them credit, because they did answer some of my questions that I had following the first movie, most of them being around this llama-looking motherfucker. So I do have to say, I appreciate that. Alright, so let's get right into Trolls World Tour. I guess the Trolls are like a K-pop band now or something. I wonder if they're allowed to perform in Russia, or if their vibes are considered too gay. So this movie starts out with a whole bunch of what appears to be troll mermaids, or trollmaids I guess, having a techno party. Now I won't actually be showing you any scenes of this techno party because it's super not epilepsy safe, and as somebody who has seizures, I'm not gonna sit through that. I'm not gonna make you sit through that. But here is a pretty picture that I drew instead. So the trollmaids are having a grand old time, listen to Dead Mouse or whatever the fuck they listen to, when a whole bunch of other trolls suddenly crash their party. And these aren't any old trolls, these are the rock trolls. And the rock trolls do not like other types of trolls. So much so that they have devised a plan in order to wipe out any type of music that is not rock and make it so that everybody is into rock and roll instead.
Oh, but by the end of my world tour, we're all gonna have the same vibe. We're all gonna be one nation of trolls under rock!
Yeah, remember how in my last video I was joking about Poppy being a fascist? Well, apparently this movie is about literal fascism. This movie for 6-year-olds. That's full of rainbows and glitter. Fascism. So once the techno trolls are all wiped out, we cut to the trolls that we know and love from the first movie, who are singing about, I don't know, I can't remember. It's probably like glitter or rainbows or some shit like that. And it is at this point, during this song that they're singing, at the 7-minute mark of the movie, we learn that Diamond Guy, remember the guy who did the butt glitter spray from the first movie? Yeah, him. It is at this point that we learn that Diamond Guy is apparently an Omega, because he is Mpreg. He then proceeds to immediately give birth by shooting an egg out of his hair, which then explodes into a miniature version of Diamond Guy, who then goes on to rap in an incredibly deep voice.
I'm having a baby! Yeah, Tiny Diamond is my name.
7 minutes in. Fascism. Mpreg. Egg birth. Do you see how I'm saying that the writers for this movie had to have been so high out of their gourds that they're sending us this script from Jupiter or something? You know, this is how I know that me and my friend are besties. Friends send each other things that they know their friend will like and enjoy. Besties send their friends things that they know are going to give them extreme psychological damage and cause them to end up in the psych ward for the next week. So after the trolls are done singing, we are introduced to a new troll named Legsley, who, as soon as I saw, I said, wait a minute. Why does she remind me of that Birkin bitch from the first movie? I don't know why, but they just look so alike to me. They sound so alike to me. They're giving off the same vibes for some reason. Like, Legsley doesn't really add anything to this movie or is a significant character in any way. She's kind of just there. So why do I think so much about Bridget every time I see this troll? Honestly, with everything else that they've revealed in the Trolliverse so far and upcoming, I would not be surprised to learn that somehow we were able to turn that kitchen maid into this troll with some long ass legs. I have a conspiracy theory that somehow these two are the same character. Now, one of the things that is going on throughout this movie is that my boy Branch wants to confess his romantic feelings for Poppy, but obviously we gotta have conflict, so throughout the movie it kinda doesn't really work out. And honestly, once we reach the end of the movie where he is able to confess his feelings, I'm not so sure that he technically did, but that's something that we will get to later. This bat thing shows up with a poster from the rock troll queen, Queen Barb. Now, I have two issues with this. One, you're supposed to be the queen of rock, and your name is Barb, as in Barbara, as in Barbie? What kind of rockin' name is actually, now that I'm thinking about it again, I guess that it could be Barb, as in like barbed wire, which I guess that's kind of a rockin' name. I take what I said back. I have one issue with this. As we are going to see, Barb is going around stealing this secret string from each of the group of trolls. So what are we sending this poster out for? Poppy very rightly, incorrectly assumes that this is like an invitation for all of the trolls to like come together and have one big party, which like, it kind of is.
Barb, the Queen of Rock, announces her One Nation Under Rock world tour. Bring your string to the biggest party the world has ever seen.
I really don't understand what Barb is supposed to be trying to achieve here by sending out this poster, because, like, she doesn't really seem to send this to anybody else. She's not actually inviting people to one place, she's going around to everybody and steal. So what is the point of sending this poster? I don't understand what this whole entire thing here is supposed to be, except for some sort of pre-warning, so that Poppy can go off on a little adventure. And then we can have more of a move, but it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. This children's movie should make more sense. So Poppy has never before heard of different types of trolls. She's never heard of the rock trolls or the techno trolls or any of the other trolls, and she also has never heard of this magical string before. Which is very convenient for the audience, because we haven't heard of this shit either. So she goes to her dad and asks about this, and he explains to her that there are trolls who are out there who are different, but they're not different in a way that's socially acceptable. They're different in a way that's socially unacceptable.
There are other kinds of trolls.
Wow, Dad, that's great.
You don't understand. These other trolls aren't like us. They're different. They sing different. They dance different. Why, some of them can't even begin to grasp the concept of hammer time.
So he goes on to tell us the history of the trolls, where apparently all of the trolls used to live together under this six-stringed harp that kind of introduced them to music for the first time. But over time, everybody ended up fighting over the harp and the strings, so each group grabbed one of the strings and kind of broke off into their 6 different groups, and that's why each one has a string now. And the 6 big groups of music that we have are pop, rock, techno, classical, country, and funky. And this is a little bit interesting because obviously having these 6 groups of trolls kind of insinuates that, like, there aren't other types of music out there outside of these 6. So, like, I guess rap doesn't exist in the Trolliverse, or Bollywood, or like a third genre of music that I couldn't be bothered to come up with. Also, is pop really a music genre? Pop just stands for popular, so I'm not sure if it can be considered a genre on its own, because a song has to start off like in its own genre and then get popular for it to turn into pop music. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Like with Lil Nas X's Old Town Road, it was originally a country song, but is now also considered a pop song because major radio stations play it frequently and you can hear it just about anywhere. So isn't pop just trolls who steal music from other genres? Or am I just thinking about this a little bit too much? I don't know. I'm also not quite sure about why we picked these 6 genres to be like, funk isn't even really much of a genre anymore. It's a genre that was very popular in the 60s, which I guess if we're sticking with like the era that Trolls originally came out with, then that fits, but I don't know, because we're only playing like modern music here, so what would really fit into the funk genre there for it to still be so relevant of a genre now? Am I thinking about this too much? I'm probably thinking about this way too much. It doesn't matter, it's music. And a movie for 6-year-olds. So because Poppy believes that Queen Barb is kind of setting up this big concert to gather all of the trolls together so that they can all be unified and be friends and stuff like that, she decides to sneak off in the middle of the night and what the hell is that thing? Is that a sentient hot air balloon? Road trip! Okay, I have 2 questions with this. Number 1, how? And number 2, why? They literally never explain the existence of this sentient hot air balloon. It's just there and alive for some reason, which makes me really wonder about what other inanimate objects are technically alive in this universe. Also, I am wondering even more here than I did with the trolls about how do these things reproduce? Is this the only one? Is it a freak of nature? Or is there like a whole herd of hot air balloons out there? When they need to reproduce, do they do it like flowers? We're just sending seeds out into the universe and then it kind of just gestates into a hot air balloon that can speak to you? Or is some part of this thing's body technically its genitals?
Try one of these.
Alright, Poppy, easy on the buttons!
Actually, let's stop thinking about this. I don't want to talk about or imagine hot air balloon genitals anymore. Oh god, this is almost as bad as the time that me and my roommate decided to look up MPreg diagrams because we weren't super sure about how the whole anatomy of everything was gonna work out, so we had to look up, like, where exactly the baby would go and all of that stuff. If you get butt pregnant, like, how does that work? Also, if you've been keeping track, this is the 2nd time that I have mentioned the Omegaverse in this video. Let's see if we can make it a 3rd. So Branch decides to go with Poppy off on her little journey, and because he kind of understands the world more than she does, he realizes that actually it's probably a bad thing to try and unite everybody and make everybody kind of do the same thing. So when he leaves, he decides to bring along a number of weapons, such as rocks and pointed sticks and brass knuckles, which are illegal in just about every single state in the United Shit of America. Wait, why are brass knuckles illegal in every state of America? Let's find out. Okay, so after a bit of Googling, it turns out that the reason is because brass knuckles are too easy to use excessive force to try and hurt or accidentally kill someone. Oh, I'm not gonna say anything. I really don't think that I need to say anything. If you're watching my channel, then we're probably all on the same page about what weapon exactly should be banned, because it's so easy to use it to potentially hurt or accidentally kill someone. I accidentally deleted something in my script when I was just doing that fake Googling thing. So Poppy and Branch, and also Biggie is there for some reason, travel across the little troll map and get to classical Trollville. I think it's called Symphonyville, where they have found that Queen Barb has already been there and completely destroyed everything. Poppy is totally devastated by the realization that instead of wanting to unify all the trolls, Barb wants to destroy all the trolls. So their next plan of action is to go to Countryville place in order to warn all of the trolls there of their impending doom. So usually when I make these videos, I try and talk about only the most important aspects of the movie and plot, and then kind of leave out all the extra little stuff that doesn't matter. But I do want to point out this little scene here, in which Barb gets a letter from Poppy, before Poppy had learned that Barb was intent on destroying everybody, in which Poppy says that she wants to be besties with Barb, seeing as they're both queens.
Maybe you and I can even be best friends. Friendship takes time and years of mutual care and respect. You don't just become best friends.
Honestly, Barb is so fucking right for this one. Honestly, the more that I watch these movies, the more I absolutely despise Poppy. She's the person, or troll, I guess, who always thinks that she's right and everything that she does is correct, and there's no way that she could possibly be wrong about anything ever, when in reality, she's actually really toxic. I'm sure that we can all think of a person in our life who is like this, who oversteps boundaries and constantly tries to control the situation and say that they know what's better for everybody else than what they know for themselves, because this is exactly the type of person that Poppy is. And this gets even more evident when Poppy and gang shows up at Lonely Flats, which is the troll country town, where everyone there is a troll centaur, or a trolltar, or nope, we're not doing that one. I don't like how that one sounds, we're sticking with troll centaur. So all of the trolls there are singing Kelly Clarkson's Born to Die, which I guess she wrote for this movie, and if you haven't heard it, oh my god, you need to. It is such a banger. And while Branch is having like the most cathartic moment of his life, being like, oh my god, I wanna die, Poppy is just standing over here like, oh, it's so sad. These people are too dumb to know how to do music right.
This song is so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. But life is sad sometimes, so I kinda like it.
You do? But it's so different. Oh, they must not know that music's supposed to make you happy. That's awful.
Girl, shut the fuck up. I swear to God, Poppy is the living embodiment of toxic positivity. Like, if you tried to talk to Poppy about your mental health issues, she'd definitely be the type of person to tell you that you can't be depressed. Kids in Africa have it so much worse than you do. And she would then go on to sing a really shitty song that was supposed to make you feel better, but actually made you feel much worse, which is literally what she does right here. Poppy decides that seeing as the trolls of Lonely Flats have no idea how to do music right, it's her and Branch and Biggie's job to show them the real way that music is. And she decides that the best way for them to do it is to sing a medley of all of Pop's greatest hits. And according to the Trolls universe, Pop's greatest hits of all time is Wannabe by Spice Girls, Who Let the Dogs Out by Baha Men, Good Vibrations by Marky Mark, Gangnam Style by PSY, Hey Baby by Pitbull, and Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO. And of course, they are immediately jailed for their crime of not including Beyonce on their list of pop's greatest hits. At this point in time, Poppy is genuinely struggling to understand the concept that there could be people in the world who have different values and morals and opinions than she does.
Maybe my dad was right. The other trolls are different in ways I was not prepared for. Some trolls, they don't just want to have fun.
Remember how back in the first movie, I talked about how the only reason why Branch was accepted into his community was because he was forced to assimilate to their culture and do things that they all liked as opposed to things that he personally liked? Yeah. It really feels like Poppy only likes him because he was forced to do that. Like, if at this point Branch was still struggling with his aversion to troll culture and all of his like PTSD and stuff like that, I don't think that she would be into him at all. She only likes him now because he's currently into the stuff that she likes as opposed to his stuff that he likes. Ugh, Poppy is such a normie. She would definitely be a mean girl if this was high school. Or like one of those really weird like Puritan teens who thinks that they're so much better than everybody else because they just read War and Peace instead of stupid books like A Court of Thorn and Roses. Do you think that if I made her listen to Drips by Eminem that her head would explode? Because I think it might. Actually, now that I think about it again, it probably wouldn't because she's so sheltered, I doubt she wouldn't even understand like 70% of the things that Eminem was even talking about in that song. Does Poppy know what a pussy or an STD is? Probably not. Anyway, Poppy, Branch, and Biggie are all busted out of jail by a troll centaur named Hickory, who Poppy just immediately starts riding, and it feels very much like a hate crime because, like, she didn't ask or anything like that before she jumped up there. She kind of just assumed that since this guy is half horse, that must mean she must be allowed to ride him. Now I'm thinking of a dirty joke that goes with that, but I won't say it. I'm sure you guys could get there on your own. But after they escape, Branch starts to have a whole meltdown because remember, he wanted to confess his feelings towards Poppy, and now he feels as though Hickory might cuck him, which gives him a little bit of an anxiety attack. It's okay, Branch, why don't you sit down? They have a special chair for you and everything. So this ragtag group decides that the next thing that they can try and do is attempt to get to the Funk Trolls so that they can warn them about Queen Barb, because warning the country trolls about Queen Barb went so well. So in order to do this, the group builds together a little raft and is floating down the river, where we then encounter a jazz troll, who is not a part of the original 6 groups of music, so I guess there are types of music here in the Trolliverse, but I'm still very confused about how that works. Like, are there really tiny troll communities that live amongst everything, but they're so small that they don't get their own area on the map? Or is this kind of like being gay, where you get born into one of the 6 main communities, but if you don't vibe with everybody else, then you get excommunicated and you have to leave and go find your own community somewhere else? Like, how does this work? There are only 6 genres of music, and yet there are so many other types of music out there, like literally hundreds of genres of music. So how are there only technically 6 right now? I'm thinking about this too much, stop it. So the reason why this jazz troll has shown up is because Queen Barb has hired these little groups of bounty hunter trolls to try and track down Poppy and Branch. And in order to try and capture them, this jazz troll starts playing a little jazzy tune, which immediately awakens bisexual Branch like a fucking sleeper agent or something. I mean, damn, look at this dude. If he isn't creaming his shorts right now, I don't know what's going on. Branch then proceeds to have a hallucination where he's being vored by Poppy.
Poppy, how'd you like the sushi?
Yep, that's happening in this kids movie. And the only way that they're saved is because Hickory comes in and he kicks the shit out of the jazz troll because he put gumdrops in his ears, which blocked out all the smooth jazz tunes.
Gumdrops. Soundproof and delicious.
Biggie then reads Poppy for filth by calling her a self-centered bitch who never listens to anyone else's opinions and only thinks about what she personally wants.
Biggie, it'll be okay.
Stop saying that and listen to me. You only hear what you want to hear and it puts us all in danger. How are you supposed to save the world if you can't even keep us safe? You made a pinky promise to me, Queen Poppy, and you broke it.
They then proceed to get abducted by aliens. Yeah, I don't know what's happening either. Except it turns out that they're not aliens, because I guess aliens would be a little bit too weird for this movie. Actually, it's the Funk Trolls. Now, what I haven't talked about yet is the B-plot for this movie, which centers around this llama-looking motherfucker. I think his name is Cooper. So back in the beginning of the movie, when Poppy was learning about the history of the trolls, this guy ended up seeing another group of trolls which kind of looked like him.
They are all different. And this one looks a little bit like me.
And seeing as he wanted to learn more about where he came from, he went off in search of the Funk Trolls. And lo and behold, the Funk Trolls are his people, but not only are they his people, but it turns out that Cooper is the long-lost prince of the Funk Trolls, because I guess we can't ever have a character who's just a normal person. They always have to be royalty or the most specialist boy in any way possible. Poppy is ecstatic because she really wants the Pop Trolls and the Funk Trolls to work together to show Barb that they're really all just the same and they just need to get along, to which the Funk Trolls say, yeah, absolutely not. We are actually different from each other, and there's nothing wrong with that.
But we're not all the same.
It's why all our strings are different, because they reflect our different music.
Denying our differences is denying the truth of who we are.
They also then proceed to tell Poppy that the history of the strings that she currently knows is the whitewashed, colonized version of what actually happened.
That is, until the Pop Trolls tried to steal our strings.
Steal your strings? That's not what it said in our scrapbooks.
Scrapbooks? Those are cut out, glued, and glittered by the winners. Let me tell you how it really went down.
So it turns out what actually happened is that back when the 6 strings were all on the harp, the Pop Trolls thought that their music was so much better than everybody else's, probably because they were stealing everybody else's music, and were trying to dominate the field of music. And the only way that the other trolls could stop the Pop Trolls from completely dominating everything was to each take a string and to break up into their 6 different groups. So yeah, it turns out that the Pop Trolls were the original fascists, just like I said. I knew it. I called this shit. Yay, fascism. After Poppy has her world totally flipped upside down, the Rock Trolls attack the Funk Trolls, and Poppy and Branch are only able to narrowly get away while the Rock Trolls steal the Funk string. Poppy and Branch get into a fight because Branch wants to go home to protect the Pop Trolls, while Poppy wants to go back and try and fight with the Funk Trolls. So they split up and then sing a really sad song about how much they miss each other. Branch is then immediately captured by the K-pop trolls and the reggae trolls, who proceed to have a dance-off to see who is going to get Branch, but Branch is so awesome that he wings them over with a single sentence.
All music should be saved.
All right, okay. I'm listening, Pop Troll.
That is how much Riz my man has. He only needs like 6 words, and other trolls will do whatever he wants. So Poppy ends up meeting up with Hickory, who, it turns out, is not really a centaur. He's actually 2 yodeling trolls in a trench coat.
Trust me, just go.
Now, please, just go. Whoa.
Ah!
Nein! What are you doing, Hickory?
What's going on, Hickory?
I am so sorry.
Show her who you really are, Hickory!
So Poppy is captured by Queen Barb and taken back to the main layer, where Barb reveals that her big plan is to string all of the strings together on a bass and then play an ultimate power chord that will turn everybody into a rock troll. And then no one will have to fight over anything ever again because everyone will be exactly the same again. Why are we doing fascism for a 6-year-old movie? And then also learning that our ancestors are fascist. I cannot stop thinking about this meme that my friend sent me for this movie. Oh my god. So Barb starts off her concert, but thankfully Branch shows up at the last minute and oh my god! It's the sentient hot air balloon again. What the fuck is that thing doing here? Thankfully, we don't have to see it anymore, because when Barb tries to play the power chord to hit Poppy, Branch sacrifices himself and becomes the first rock zombie. And they also give him a mullet. Oh, come on, guys. Why did you have to do my boy dirty like that? Barb starts turning everybody into zombies, including Poppy herself. But it turns out to be fine, because actually Poppy has gumdrops in her ears, which I have absolutely no idea how she managed that, because they do not show us at all her getting gumdrops or putting them in, and she just happens to have those in there, I guess. I don't know. And I really like this part of the movie because this one guy shows up and he's like, hey, I think that Poppy's actually right, that we shouldn't all be rockers, because if we're all rockers, then like, what are we rebelling against? There wouldn't be anything to rebel against. We would just be a part of the masses.
Maybe Queen Poppy has a point. If we all look the same, act the same, dress the same, how will anyone know we're cool?
You can't rebel against the system if you are the system. In order to save everybody from this horrible catastrophe, Poppy takes Barb's guitar and smashes it into a million pieces, completely destroying all of the strings and anybody's ability to ever make music ever again. Good job, Poppy. A+. Nice work you did there. Wow. Now nobody can do a music oh, never mind. They're already singing again. It's fine. We had a problem for 30 seconds, but now it's all fixed now. Nobody has to worry about it. It's cool, don't worry. There's only 3 minutes left in the movie anyway, so we do kind of gotta wrap shit up. And of course, this movie ends with Branch finally telling Poppy that he loves her, except, did he though? Did he though?
Branch, I love that we're different.
And I love you, Queen Poppy.
I love you too, Branch.
Like with the way that Poppy is just like, oh yeah, Branch, I love you too. I would not be surprised to walk into the third movie finding that Poppy took that as a platonic I love you instead of like a romantic I love you, and now she still has no idea that Branch would like to shoot eggs out of his hair with her. What was that? Like, I tell my friends that I love them all the time, but that doesn't mean that I am in love with them. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the route that Poppy's going down right now. Alright, so that was Trolls World Tour, but before we wrap things up, I do want to talk about some of the comments that Justin Timberlake had about this movie, which I did bring up a little bit in my last video, but I do think bears repeating here. So Justin actually voices Branch for these movies, and when he was completing an interview about this movie, for some reason he decided to say that 50 Shades of Grey was his inspiration for making the soundtrack for this movie. Quote, "There is definitely something for the adults," he laughs. "Let's just say the tension between Poppy and Branch is very sexual. The trolls were on tour, you know what I mean?" No, Justin. I don't know what you mean. And now that I've seen this movie in context, I know what you mean even less. I honestly can't think of two characters who have less sexual tension between them than Poppy and Branch do. Branch seems like he wanted to fuck that jazz troll way more than he does Poppy. And like I previously said, I don't think that Poppy even fully understands that Branch has romantic feelings for her at all. "I've possibly gone gray again," Justin hints Branch's upcoming love song. "Maybe 50 shades of it," he adds. No, I don't really think so, Justin. Like, did you not watch or read 50 Shades of Grey at all? It's a story about a man who mentally and emotionally manipulates a woman into having a sexual relationship with him that she doesn't want. And your song is just about Poppy and Branch singing about how much they miss each other and how they think they'd be a good couple. I honestly can't think of things that are farther apart on the scale of being related than this example we're currently talking about. Like, the first 50 Shades of Grey story literally ends with Annabelle leaving Christian Grey because he's so abusive. How can you say that these things are related in any way? Anyway, that's the second Trolls movie. I definitely had a time watching this one. I love being thrown like I'm an Amazon package onto a porch by an underpaid salary worker who doesn't have healthcare, so he doesn't give a fuck. And this one definitely did that. Alright, before we wrap everything up, let me just say, Omegaverse. I told you that I was gonna refer to it a third time, and here I now have. Let me know your thoughts for this video down below. If you want more like it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to stay safe and have a fantastic day. Bye.